A Coes Wrench Company monkey wrench crossed the block at a New England tool auction a few years back for right around $400, while the same wood-handled adjustable sitting in most people's drawers is a $5 tool. And the whole difference is one stamp you can feel with your thumbnail. So, let's start there. Number 1. The Coes Monkey Wrench. Wood handle. Adjustable jaw. Made in Worcester, Massachusetts, back in the 1870s. I've pulled these out of more barns than I can count, and 99 times out of 100, it's the plain worn one. Rounded jaw, gray handle, no mark you can read. $5, and that's being generous. But here's the tell. Flip it over and read the shank. On the good one, the Coes stamp runs clean across the metal, sharp and deep, and there's an early patent date pressed in right alongside it. You don't even need your eyes. Run your thumbnail across it. If you feel that date standing proud of the steel, crisp, not worn flat, you're holding the one that matters. The last one of those I watched sell went for right around $400. Same wrench, same wood. The stamp did all the work. Go pull that old adjustable out of your drawer right now. This next part tells you in 10 seconds whether you've got the $400 one or the $5 one. Number 2. The Early Billings and Spencer adjustable. Now these turn up looking like every other beat-up wrench in the box, and most folks toss them straight back. Don't. Turn it over. If the name arches over the pivot instead of sitting stamped flat across the handle, you're already holding something most pickers walk right past. That curve matters. The name arched over the pivot is the early work. Stamped flat, straight across, it's the later, common one. Same maker. Different money. The arch is where it hides. Number 3, a farm and buggy wrench. The flat forged kind. No moving parts, just a slab of steel with an open jaw at each end. Farmers had them by the thousand, thrown in with a plow or a wagon. Plain, they're a couple of dollars, and that's the whole story for most of them. But look close along the flat of the handle. Some of these carry an implement maker's name stamped right in. An early plow works, a wagon company, something long gone. When that mark is still legible, still readable under the rust, the price starts to climb. The name is everything. A blank one is scrap. A stamped one collectors will chase. And that's where knowing the mark's cold stops being a hobby and starts being money in your hand. Because the difference between $5 and $5,000 is a stamp the size of a fingernail. I've spent 4 decades doing exactly this. Pulling old tools, cast iron and tackle out of barns and estate sales, and learning every one of these marks the hard way. So, I put all of it into a written field guide called Rusty Gold. The exact makers, the marks, the patent numbers, the years, and the real prices these things have actually sold for. With the photos sitting right next to each one, so you can flip a wrench over and check it in 10 seconds. It's linked below, and the QR code is on your screen. Now one more thing before we go on, and hold on to it. One of these 10 wrenches has changed hands in the low thousands. Not 400, thousands. And it hangs on nothing but the stamp and the finish. That dark patina, that is most of the money. We'll get to which one. First, the ones you're far more likely to actually find. Number 4 is a Bemis & Call, and its mark doesn't sit where you'd look for it. Everybody checks the head. Everybody checks the jaw. But on this one, the stamp hides in one specific spot on the handle, and if you don't know where, you'll miss it every single time. So let me show you exactly where to run your thumb. That specific spot on the handle, on a Bemis & Call, the bulldog stamp hides down near the base of the handle, not up on the head where every picker looks first. Run your thumb down to the bottom of the shaft, and there it is. A little bulldog, worn but readable if you catch the light right. Most of these are ordinary. A plain Bemis & Call knuckle saver, worn smooth, sells for what any old wrench sells for. A handful of dollars, and that's being generous. But when that bulldog is crisp, when you can still make out the dog and the lettering around it, the number changes. I've watched clean stamped examples pull past the $100 mark at farm and tool auctions in the Northeast. Same wrench, same shape. The difference is a stamp the size of your thumbnail, sitting where nobody bothers to look. So flip it over, read the shank, then check the bottom of the handle. Number 5 is different, and I like this one because there's no stamp doing the work. It's the shape, a Girard adjustable, or one of those saw set combination oddities. A wrench that isn't just a wrench. Somebody built a tool to do 2 jobs, and the form is strange enough that a collector spots it across a room. The tell isn't a mark you hunt for, it's the silhouette. An unusual jaw, an extra slot, a body that doesn't look like anything else in the box. Those combination pieces are scarce because most of them broke or got tossed. A common one still turns up under $50. A clean, complete example of a genuinely odd pattern has realized a couple hundred at specialist sales, purely because the shape survived intact. No stamp needed. The wrench tells on itself. And now I want you to slow down with me, because here's the trap I promised. Number 6, 2 wrenches. Say 2 Frank Mossberg wrenches, or 2 PS and W. That's Pexto, Peck, Stowe, and Wilcox, an old Connecticut name. Lay them next to each other. Same length, same rust, same handle, same dull gray, same wear on the jaws. Hold both of these side by side, and you cannot tell them apart until you flip one over. Because one of them is worth almost nothing, and the other one made real money. And there is exactly one thing separating them. Here it is. One of the 2 carries an earlier casting seam. A raised line running straight down the center of the body, dead center, from the head toward the handle. Run your thumbnail across it, and you feel the ridge. That's the older mold. And right there on the shank, next to it, a patent number, a low one. The earlier the wrench, the lower the number that got stamped into it. So read the number off the shank. A low patent number and a seam down the center means you're holding the one that made money. High number, no seam, or a seam ground flat, that's the twin, and the twin is worth what a twin is worth. Stop and think about that for a second. Which one is the earlier casting? You genuinely cannot know by looking at the front. Both wrenches spent 70, 80 years in a drawer. Both wear the same. The whole answer is on the back, in a raised line and 3 or 4 little digits most people never read. The seam and low number example. The early Frank Mossberg, the early PS and W, has realized several hundred at auction. Its identical-looking twin sat in the same lot, same table, and went home for the price of a coffee. Same maker, same model, same rust. One had the earlier mold and the early patent, and one didn't. That's the game in one entry. Everything else is just knowing where to look and taking the 10 seconds to look. And from here, the numbers only climb. We're past the small money now. Number 10 is the strangest of the lot and the highest. An early adjustable that changed hands in the low thousands at a specialist sale, and it wasn't the stamp alone that did it. It was one other thing on that wrench. One thing almost nobody keeps intact, because the moment they get it home, they do the exact thing that destroys it. That's what carried it into 4 figures, and I'll show you what it was. But first, the 3 that lead up to it. That one other thing almost nobody keeps intact is the original finish, and it's exactly what drove the top wrench into the low thousands. I'll get you there, but first, the 3 that lead up to it. Number 7, a bicycle wrench. Small, flat, easy to miss in a box of 100. Most pickers glance at it and toss it back because it looks like nothing. The marker here is a name they don't recognize, and the one I want you to know is Whitman and Barnes. Flip it over and read the shank. If you find Whitman and Barnes stamped clean into the steel, you're not holding a scrap wrench, you're holding a maker collectors actually chase. The plain ones bring a few dollars. A crisp, legible Whitman and Barnes with the stamp still sharp has climbed well past that at online tool sales in the last few years. The name is the whole difference. Number 8, the alligator wrench. Heavy thing, a fixed jaw with rows of teeth cut into it, no moving parts, looks half like a fish head. What dates it is the tooth pattern. Turn it in the light and look at how the teeth are cut. The early ones have a coarser, deeper tooth, sometimes hand-filed, and the casting is rougher across the back. A crude tooth cut and an early maker's mark on the shank push these up quickly at farm and tool auctions. The smooth machine, even later ones, are worth what a chunk of old iron is worth. Same shape, different century. The teeth tell you which. Number 9. A screw adjust wrench, sometimes called a perpetual, where a screw runs the jaw up and down the bar. Most pickers walk right past it because it just looks like an old adjustable that's seized up. Don't. Read the shank, right along the flat of the bar. There's a patented maker's name and often a patent number stamped there, and the rare patented versions have realized several $100s at specialist sales when the stamp is still readable. Rub your thumbnail along the bar. If you can feel the letters and the number, that's the one worth stopping for. Now. Number 10. An early adjustable, and the name to know is Loring Co's. A documented patent model adjustable, the kind that sits in a specialist tool sale as its own lot on the front table. And here it is, the one that changed hands in the low thousands. Not for the stamp alone. For a finish nobody had touched. The stamp was crisp, the early patent line sharp under a thumbnail, and the whole wrench still wore its original finish, the dark surface it left the factory with, never cleaned, never sanded, never brightened. That untouched skin is what put it in the low thousands. A Loring Co's with a worn, scrubbed surface is a fraction of that. The metal is the same. The history on the surface is not. So that's the 10. And here's the honest part, the part I'm not going to dress up. That top figure is 1 wrench in 1,000. I mean that close to literally. 9 out of 10 of everything I just walked you through is the common version. The plain Co's, the flat farm wrench with no legible name, the smooth alligator, the bicycle wrench with no maker. A handful of dollars each, and no amount of wishing puts a stamp on the shank that was never there. Either the mark is on it, or it isn't. Flip it over, and the wrench tells you the truth in about 10 seconds. Most of the time, the truth is $5, and that's fine. That's the game. And there's one thing that quietly kills the money before you ever get a wrench looked at. The wire brush. That dark patina. The aged surface you're tempted to scrub off to make it look nice. That patina is most of the money. I've watched it happen more times than I can count. A wire brush has ended more values than rust ever did. Cleaning, sanding, repainting, brightening it up, all of it drops the value, and on the good ones, it drops it hard. So do not scrub it. Leave the dirt. Leave the dark. Leave it exactly as ugly as you found it. So next time you're out in the barn or digging through the old toolbox, here's the whole thing in one breath. Flip it over, read the shank, find the casting seam, check the number, and keep the brush in the drawer where it belongs. That's it. That's the game. Tell me in the comments what's sitting in your drawer right now, the maker, and where the stamp sits. I read them, and I'll tell you if you've got a $5 tool or something worth flipping over twice.